Alright guys, so Trench came out just a little while ago and we made a lot of predictions before it got here. We all kind of had our ideas of what it was going to be called. Some of you guys thought it was going to be called Echo or Whisperer or whatever. And there was a lot of stuff going on. But I probably made more predictions than most. In fact, in an old video I made 21 predictions about what the new album would be like, and in this video I want to talk about those. What did I get wrong? What did I get right? All will be revealed. Hey everybody, I'm Clifford Stummy, the Pop Song Professor, and welcome to my channel where we make English class awesome by explaining and sometimes roasting song lyrics on school days. Today we are talking about my 21 predictions about what the new album would look like and whether I got them right or wrong. And we're going to be watching this old video. This is actually honestly one of the first actual reaction videos I've ever done. Usually, almost always, I just explain songs, which is very different from a reaction, but now I'm going to react to one of my old videos. But before we do that, guys, you gotta check out my Patreon community. There's a link in the description below. Yo, you would be a great fit for this community. We like to chat about 21 Pilots theories, predictions about maybe the next album, who knows? And just in like the last 12 hours alone, I think like 5 patrons have posted song lyrics and gotten feedback from each other on how to improve those song lyrics. It's seriously cool. I'll be waiting for you. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and start reacting. I really like this intro. Very classy, for sure. Where have I heard that before?
On this channel, me and all of my fans, an unhealthy obsession with the deep and catchy music of 21 Pilots, and so that's why there's a lot of 21 Pilots videos on this channel. I also
a lot of 21 Pilots videos on this channel. Past Cliff had no idea.
But I want to start with some of the research-based ones and some of the more obvious ones first. Number one, I think that we can look to the past and we can say, hey, there's a lot of rapping, there's a lot of deep lyrics.
To be honest, that one seems kind of like a cop-out. 21 Pilots will still be 21 Pilots. I guess it makes sense. They did stay true to themselves. You listen to Trench and you're like, this is still 21 Pilots. It didn't feel like they became another band or sold out or something. So I guess that's fair, but I mean, what were we really expecting?
There's some really good melodies in here. There's a very like vocal center in the mix. So like what Tyler has to say.
Vocal centered for sure.
Through the really good music. There are heartfelt
I'm gonna give this a number 1.
Personal growth. We see him changing his mind on certain topics as he goes forward with previous albums, and I think we can continue to see him change, grow, develop. Who knows? Number 2, there's going to be some references to DEMA. We've already seen...
yeah, I mean, that one's kind of obvious. Nico and the Niners, right? Definitely some references to DEMA. Heathens, not as much.
Number 3, Tyler said in an interview that he's looking forward to the next record. He feels a greater sense of freedom and less pressure.
I did kind of feel like it was a little bit less formatted. I felt like there were a lot more intros and outros and post-choruses, which for 21 Pilots typically means it's a little bit more freeform. And I think there were a few songs that had multiple bridges, and there might have even been a song or two where choruses came first. I'm going to count this one as a slight win.
Pressure going from Vessel to Blurry Face, and so I think we can expect this album to be a little bit crazier, a little bit more experimental. Blurry Face shared some similarities to Vessel.
Oh, yeah, experimental for sure. There's some really weird stuff on here lyrically.
Number 4, he says, I'm looking forward to what an even more confident 21 Pilots record sounds like. I'm not saying the songs sound confident, I'm saying the song structures will.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's hard to measure this one, but I would say that it does kind of feel more confident. Like the whole album just feels like it's more compact. Vessel, it's like it's a little bit loose, and with Blurry Face it's a little bit tighter, but then with Trench I just feel like every word, every note is just super intentional and like precisely placed, and I do feel like that structure is a little bit more confident. I mean, I'm the only one judging here, so I don't know if it's really fair, but I'm gonna give myself that one too.
Number 5, he says, there are parts of the self-titled record that production-wise and vocally, there are so many things wrong with that record, or at least perceived as wrong, but the authenticity, lyrics, delivery, and the fearlessness of the songwriting, I'd like to try to take 21 Pilots back to that.
I mean, if he's counting fearlessness as like writing about DEMA and having a song called Nico and the Niners and another song called Pet Cheetah, I mean, that's pretty fearless. I mean, is it quite self-titled? There was a lot more storytelling on self-titled, honestly, than there has been on recent albums. It's a little bit more conceptual or metaphor-based, whereas self-titled, very, very story-based. Johnny Boy, March to the Sea, Ruby, Oh Miss Believer, well, not so much Ruby, sorry, and Ruby's regional at best, but Oh Miss Believer, and a couple of others, and it's definitely heavily story-based on Trench, and so I can see that for sure.
Number 6, he says, it's really hard to write a slower song. I want
Yeah, and definitely slower songs on this album for sure. You got Leave the City, you've got, I think Bandito and Cut My Lip are both fairly slow. It just a higher density of slow songs.
Number 7 is a personal prediction of mine. I think we're going to see less of a reggae influence in their music.
I mean, we still had Cut My Lip and Nico and the Niners, and I might be missing some other ones, but I felt like those were the 2 main reggae influenced ones. 2 on the album. It's pretty good. I think, what was it? Stressed Out, and maybe 1 or 2 others on Blurry Face, and I might be misremembering that. So this is the first one that I'll say it wasn't significantly less reggae. So far 6 out of 7.
Number 8, 21 Pilots is not a very repetitive band. Usually their song lyrics are very, very unique. Back in Self-Titled, it was like 90% uniqueness with only 10% repeated lyrics. But then in Blurry Face, it went down to about 68% for an average of about 79%.
So I predicted that he would be less repetitive than Blurry Face, and honestly, I think that this album is more repetitive because there's fewer long raps, I think, or the raps seem to be a little bit shorter, and there's just fewer of them. But then there are songs like Cut My Lip or Banditos that are just really, really repetitive, and I think that brings that repetition. It might be more repetitious than Blurry Face, the album itself.
Number 9, very consistently 82% of the lines in 21 Pilots songs.
Yeah, this one, I don't think this was necessarily a difficult prediction to make, but there's a lot of rhyming on Trench. It sounds very good lyrically together, and the lyrics make a lot of sense. I just remember the Nico, Huno, Copy, and Bourbaki, and I mean, there's a lot of rhymes on Trench.
Number 10, he has gotten a little bit lazier with his rhymes. Usually his rhymes are really, really good, but in Blurry Face, 31% of the rhymes were based on repeating a word that came before, whereas in Self-Titled, that was only 12%. So
I think that this one would take a lot of time to confirm. I don't know that there was a lot of lazy rhyming that I necessarily noticed. If he's repeating lines or a word or something, obviously that's going to automatically rhyme, and so by virtue of that, there probably is more rhyming by repetition, but I don't know that it was necessarily something that like stuck out to me very intensely. I think we're batting 7 out of 10.
Number 11, with the structure. We talked about this a little bit already, but I just want to officially say, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know that I would say the stanza structures are crazy. Like, they're definitely inventive and unique in a lot of places, but crazy is probably a little bit of a stretch. I need to do more of a further analysis, but I think it's a pretty common like verse-chorus structure for a lot of this. So I'm gonna not take that one. I think 7 out of 11.
Number 12, if he's gonna write more lyrics like Self-Titled...
Oh man, I would have to do so much work to figure out if I was right about this one. Yeah, honestly, I do really see this one. I think I'm right on this one because Trench definitely feels like more of an emotional than a thoughtful album. Neon Gravestones, thoughtful song. There's your thinking song. Morph to some extent. No, Morph definitely is a thinking song, but like Cut My Lip, maybe a little bit of Pet Cheetah, definitely My Blood, definitely Smithereens. Those are personal, concrete, and emotional lyrics, and I think that those tend to take the cake when it comes to Trench.
Number 13, in Self-Titled, he talks about the fans a lot, 57% of the time, whereas in Blurry Face, he only talks about fans in 14% of his songs.
Yeah, he does start talking about fans less, but I felt like fans kind of showed up a little bit more in Trench than I was expecting. I don't know about the exact percentages, but definitely like Cut My Lip, he talks about it. In Bandito, he talks about him. And he talks about him in Pet Cheetah. That's already 3 out of 14. What is that? Yeah, that's actually 21%, so I'm gonna take the official L on that one.
Number 14, based on previous lyrics where over 50% of like every single album has songs that get super vulnerable, I think we're gonna see him share things that he's personally worried about and concerned about.
Yeah, honestly, that one was maybe a little bit of low-hanging fruit, and I would say that I got that pretty well. There's a lot of songs where he talks about other people and gets vulnerable about his relationship with them, like Smithereens or Legend or something like that. But I would say that in at least 50% of these songs, he's getting vulnerable, honest, sincere, deep, and personal about something.
Number 15.
Interestingly, I think I might have been wrong on this one. I think that Trench is less about like his inner evil, and I think it's more about his struggle. So in a lot of songs, he's been kind of self-deprecating in the past, and I felt like Trench wasn't so much about his own failures, it was more about just his struggle to not fail.
Number 16, consistently 50 to...
This was a big thing. I don't feel like God really showed up almost anywhere. I mean, maybe he's metaphorically the jumpsuit, but Tyler said in an interview about Leave the City that the whole album is kind of him entertaining the idea of a world without God and like what that would look like, and kind of asking that question. And so this ironically, was probably one of my biggest mistakes.
Number 17, he mentioned the music industry 7% of the time self-titled, in one song on Vessel, and then 29% of the time on Blurry Face.
Yeah, and I don't think that he really talks about the music industry all that much here. He talks about the songwriting process, but I feel like he leaves the music industry out of it, and it just goes back to being something that's more personal and less focused on, you know, what other people or radio play or stuff like that. He's not talking about the, you know, this song will never be on the radio. He's just talking about writing it.
Number 18, he's going to talk about his songwriting process for sure. In self-titled, it was their 7%.
And I don't know whether he actually did it a third of the time here, but I'm going to take the win on this one because I do think that he talked about it a fair amount. Pet Cheetah's on there, Cut My Lips on there, and then there's just a lot of stuff that's talking about sort of the mental and the emotional side of songwriting and how that kind of interacts with what he's doing as a songwriter. Maybe, well, what would it take to be a third? That'd be like like 5 of the songs. I don't know. It's close. It's very, very close. Nope. Now that I think about it, I don't think he actually did it on a third. I think it was just like maybe 3 songs, which is going to be like 20%.
Number 19, over 50% of the songs based on previous data are going to have a rap in them.
Okay, we got to check this one out for sure. Let's see. Okay, Levitate rap. Morph had a rap. I think Chlorine had a rap. Neon Gravestones, sort of, maybe, kind of. You could count that. I don't remember if Nico did. Bandito, I think so. Pet Cheetah. Yeah. Right around 50%.
Number 20, he will mention cars at some point. Every album's cars.
He has mentioned cars every album, but I don't think that he mentioned them in this album, which is crazy. He mentioned vultures and lions and cheetahs, but no cars. I think that's the first album. I think it's the very first album where he hasn't done that.
There are going to be more vocalizations in the music. The first self-titled, there were...
This one, I would have to do a little bit of analysis to really take a closer look at it, but Jumpsuit, he's definitely vocalizing. I don't know if you want to count Faulina Salo as a vocalization. I think it actually counts as words. But maybe half is a little bit of an overestimate. I might take the L on this one, because I think Jumpsuit's the one that really sticks out, and then I think a lot of it is words, and he does a lot more repetition on this album, and so I think he doesn't need to use the vocalizations so much for when he's doing filler. I think he lets the words do the talking there. Yeah, and that's 21 predictions. I don't know, I didn't keep track very well. I gotta go back and count these. All right, dang guys, I feel a little bit humbled. I got 10 out of 21 predictions right. I didn't even get a 50%. That would not be a good grade to get. How many predictions did you feel like you got right? Let me know down in the comments down below, and if you want to make me feel better, go for it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you on Patreon soon, because I'd love to have you as part of that community. Thanks so much for watching. Check out these videos if you're bored, and I'll talk to you soon.